Hey everyone, it's TTL and I am back with another video for you. And today we're going to be taking a look at the Coolermaster TD300, which is this white MATX, I'm going to say airflow case because it is fairly simplistic in the layout and the design, and it comes in at around 85 of your Great British Beer tokens. It roughly translates into the same price for American dollar beer tokens and that sort of stuff as well. But tempered glass side panel comes with a couple of RGB fans as well. Could this be the basis of your next MATX gaming or maybe even office rig? So we always start at the top and the front, and yes, I do have hold of the tripod, so that's why it's a bit wobbly. But the reset switch is here, which can also be used to switch the lighting on the front, by the way, just in case I forget to mention it later. Headphone, microphone ports, couple of USB 3s, power button with a light up switch. All kind of standard, really, in reality. The roof panel is magnetic, and you can see that there are offset 120mm mounts up there. And you can put a 240mm AIO up there if you want, but you can also put a pair of 140mm fans up there, although I wouldn't suggest putting a 140mm based radiator up there. Looking straight on at the case, it does have quite a dramatic maybe, but it's definitely got a lot of an angular design going on, and you can see that the mesh panel at the front's textured as well. You can see all the kind of like shadows and stuff, and I have to admit I actually really prefer that over the look of a completely plain front panel. The front has got kind of, this bit here is making me think of Aventador, I don't know why. It's definitely got an angular kind of Lamborghini kind of inspiration going on in there. And staying away from the camera itself, I'm going to swing straight round to the back. 120mm fan mount in the back, but no fan in there. Obviously it's MATX, so you've only got 4 slots. The 2 slots here that are easily removable are the normal metal black ones, and then the 2 lower ones are the metal kind of tab type that you have to snap out. I personally would have, if I was going to be keeping or running this case on my desk, I'd take those 2 normal black ones out, which I will show you are over here. They are just literally normal black ones. I'd snap those out and then fit those in the bottom. The reason why I haven't fitted them in for the video is just so that I can show you what it does look like when you first get it. When I tip the case on its base, there is a very basic, just simple plastic piece of mesh, which is the dust filter for your power supply. You do have to kind of play around with it a little bit. There we go. So she's in there. And then when we come around the back, a full length door, because if you have a look on this side, the lower section isn't removable and this is glass, but we have a full length normal door on the back, and that exposes the rear of the case. You do get a couple of 3.5 inch hard drive mounts down here. You get a couple of 2.5 inches around the other side, but you also get 2 more 2.5 inches up here. This is a PWM hub. I'm stressing now that it is a PWM hub because it's not a 3-pin one, which is something I'm really happy about, because on the HAF 500 it was a 3-pin hub and it really annoyed me. So it's actually, they've gone a step up with a cheaper case, which makes no sense whatsoever. But anyway, you can have a total of 4 fans connected to this. And you can also have a total of 4 addressable RGB connections in as well. Now the 2 120mm front fans that are in the front are RGB addressable as well. Sadly, the cooler that they sent me, because I said to them, have you got a 1700 mount cooler that I can use for this, because I needed to use a new MATX board because my other one sadly went to silicon heaven. They sent me this, and this isn't addressable, which I found very, very frustrating, and it annoyed my OC 3D greatly. And you can see here the reset switch. Now the reset switch, you can run it to the motherboard and have it as a plain reset switch if you want, so you can reset your system, or you can use the reset switch to change the lighting on the front of the case. Bargain. And I'll show you that in a sec. But otherwise, four addressable RGB connectors around the outside. You don't have to use them for fans, but they're right next door to fan ports in case you have addressable RGB fans in the top. Couple of grommets. There's a few tie downs. I'm going to suggest though that around this area we needed another tie down, and I think round here somewhere we need another tie down as well, probably two down the bottom because there aren't a great deal. Now you do get just over 20 millimeters of room for cables, but it feels a lot smaller than that when you're actually using it. It's something I found instantly frustrating, and something I will do in a very unprofessional way is pick up the camera, and you can see that there's a little step at the top of the motherboard tray, and that's one of the reasons why 140 rads is a bad idea. You do get a tie down up here and a tie down up here though for your cables, which is kind of nice, but like I said, down here it's lacking, and I feel that we needed one here, or at least at the bottom or something. I think they just needed that little bit something extra. When we go around to the business side of the case, you can see there is a grey section around the outside of the glass, which I like because obviously it matches in with everything else. The tint isn't overly excessive. I would suggest though that with a white case, I don't think we really need a tint anyway, but that could just be personal preference. When we spin the case around so that we can have a look at the mounts in the front, now you can see you can comfortably fit a couple of 120mm fans down there. But there's enough room there for you to be able to fit a 360 in there if you want. So you can fit 360 rad. And if you have a look, there is a large cutout at the front. I do think that should have been able to have been covered up though, in reality. I say that with every case. You can fit a couple of 140mm fans in there if you wish as well, but only a couple. And if you look at the top, you'll see why they actually stop the runners for it, which is kind of nice. Now on the business side over here, you can see that there's another couple of mounts for two 2.5-inch SSDs or hard drives, depending on what you're using. And we've already spoken about the fact that you can put a radiator in the roof, and there is enough room up there for you to have a 120mm radiator and a single set of fans. If you wanted to double up and stuff, you are going to come into issues with things like your MOSFET heat sinks and stuff. So I would just stick to a 30mm rad and a single set of fans. Now, it doesn't come with a rear fan, it doesn't come with a roof fan, and we like to test them as they come, because otherwise, you know, it's always going to be different if you start swapping parts out. Now, because this is a new motherboard, it does actually mean that we wouldn't be able to fairly test and compare any of the thermals, because this is obviously a Alder Lake B660 board, and our other old rig was like based on a 300 series. So we've not been able to do any comparable testing, but the fans, I will tell you, because there isn't a massive amount of distance in the front, it's suited very well for the graphics card. And I would personally, I've left it exactly as it is. If I was going to be running this case with those two fans in the front, I'd move them up a bit so you have a little bit more airflow. Graphics card did enjoy the airflow, but if you have a look in reality where the front fan is, you can see that the GPU is kind of in the middle of this one over here, and then the CPU gets fed straight in, which is why, and there's not a great deal of room, there's no obstructions. It's really going to depend down to how fast you want to spin the fans. Case comes in at around 85 quid. If you want to build yourself a nice MATX gaming system, because obviously when you start going down to the cheaper end of the boards like B660s and even the H610s, they quite often tend to come out in an MATX format. I personally don't like the fact that if you put it into an ATX case, there's a big gap. So this gets you down to a nice small form factor, in that the height of the case is only 420mm in height, and that's from the very desk to the top of the case. But you still can get 330mm long graphics cards in there, so you can put the longest of graphics cards in there. Plenty of airflow, customization options. You don't have to worry about the ARGB on the front if you don't want to, but you can plug it into the boards and control it independently as well. I would just say that if you are going to buy this, don't forget to factor in some additional fans. Maybe you're going to have an AIO in the roof or in the front, but you're definitely going to want to at least have at least one extra fan in the rear just to aid your airflow. But for 85 quid, I think it's an OC3D approved award because it ticks all the boxes. It's small, it's compact, it's well made. It's not massively expensive when you consider that a pair of RGB fans could have cost you 20 to 30 pounds of that money, and you do get that hub in the back, which thankfully Coolermaster did use a PWM 4-pin hub when even on the H500 that they did the half one, they didn't on that, but on this one they thankfully did. So I think with those things combined, it's actually quite a good value case, and that's why I'm going to give it the OC3D Value for Money Award.